So, what if I told you that a nearly 3,000-year-old text holds a surprisingly relevant blueprint for building a better society? Well, today, we're diving into just one chapter, Proverbs 29, to explore its timeless advice on everything from leadership to personal character.
And it doesn't waste any time. It kicks off with this incredibly stark warning. Right from the very first line, the text makes it clear that the principles we're about to discuss aren't just gentle suggestions. Nope, we're talking about the line between survival and collapse for individuals and for the communities they live in.
So while this is an ancient source, we're really looking at it today as a practical guide. It's all about the mechanics of what makes a community fair and stable. You know, what makes it a good place to live. It's all about the cause and effect of how we behave.
So where does this blueprint start? It starts right at the top. The text argues that the absolute foundation of any healthy society is the quality of its leadership.
And right away, it lays out two completely different paths for a leader. On one side, you've got the just ruler who brings stability, but on the other, you have the corrupt ruler, the one who's greedy or easily swayed by lies. That kind of leader, it says, actively tears the country down and corrupts everyone around them. The contrast couldn't be clearer.
And the consequences of that leadership, they're felt directly by the people. This isn't some abstract political theory, it's about the real daily emotional experience of the population. Good leadership brings tangible joy. Bad leadership brings audible groaning. In this view, the well-being of the people is basically the ultimate report card for any ruler.
But it's not just about the person at the very top. The text pivots here, from the big picture of government down to the micro level of the individual. The argument is pretty simple. A society is only as strong as the character of its citizens.
A huge theme here is self-control. The text paints this really clear picture of the fool, and that's someone who gives full vent to their rage. They just let every single emotion out. No filter, no pause.
But the wise? They're the complete opposite. They can absorb chaos. They practice restraint. And ultimately, they bring calm to the situation. It's almost framed as a social superpower, right? The ability to de-escalate.
This focus on self-control extends from our feelings directly to our words. And get this, the text makes a pretty shocking claim: speaking in haste is even more dangerous than being a fool. It suggests that impulsive words can cause a kind of irreversible damage that simple foolishness just can't match.
So you start to see this pattern of destructive behaviors emerge. The text warns against anger that stirs up conflict, pride that inevitably brings a person low, flattery that acts as a hidden trap for others, and dishonesty that makes you an enemy of the righteous. Each one is like a little seed that grows into a much larger problem.
And all of this brings us right back to the community. The text is crystal clear that these individual character traits don't exist in a bubble. They have real, tangible ripple effects that impact everyone.
The text proposes a core way to measure a society's health. How does it treat its most vulnerable? Here, the righteous aren't just good people. They're defined as those who are community-minded, the ones who actively care about justice for the poor. The wicked, on the other hand, are the self-serving, those who just have no such concern. This becomes the fundamental dividing line between a healthy and a sick society.
This ripple effect is shown so powerfully with the example of mockery. And we're not talking about harmless fun. Think of it like modern online trolling or public shaming. It starts with one person, a mocker, who acts as a spark. This can ignite a conflict that engulfs an entire community, requiring the active intervention of the wise to come in and put out the fire. It's a striking illustration of how destructive behavior spreads and how constructive forces have to actively push back.
This next one is maybe one of the most famous lines from the whole chapter. Revelation here can be understood as a shared vision, a common moral framework, or a sense of higher purpose. And without it, the text warns, people just do whatever they want. Restraint disappears and chaos follows. A society needs a shared why to hold it all together.
So, after all of these warnings and observations about leaders, individuals, and communities, the text leaves us with one final overarching piece of wisdom.
This final proverb presents a powerful choice. Fear of man. That's the trap of constantly worrying about what other people think, of seeking their approval, avoiding their criticism, and bending to social pressure. The text calls this a snare, and it contrasts this with trusting in a higher principle, suggesting that sticking to a firm moral compass is the only real source of safety and stability.
And that leaves us with a question to think about. In our modern world, filled with the social pressure of social media, hasty online speech, and divisive rhetoric, which of these ancient warnings about pride,
anger and justice do you think feels the most urgent for us to hear today?